Welcome to the Live Label Free podcast. I'm your host, Olivia Sarah, an autistic eating disorder recovery coach that's here to help you turn your mess into your message. You can find my books, blogs, courses, coaching, and much more at livelabelfree.com. So that's L-I-V, labelfree.com. And now, let's dive into today's episode. Alrighty, it is time for another Go on a Walk with Me episode because I was not planning on doing this at all, and that's probably precisely why I'm recording it. And if I sound like out of breath and my throat is like sounding weird, that's because I do not have any water with me. And I was like, I should wait until I'm home from my walk and can drink water and then go on a walk again to do the voice memo thing that I'm doing right now. And I was like, fucking screw that, because then it would be like planned out, and then my demand avoidance would be like, well, now that we planned it out, we can't do it anymore. So I have so much to say, so I don't even know where to start. But I think I'll just start with like how I feel, I guess. And I don't mean that in a how are you feeling, because #trauma, but more in a like where my being has been at, where I've been channeling my energy, things I've been thinking about, because a lot is about to change in my life, like in every single way possible, which we can get into maybe depending on if I feel like talking about it, because this is my podcast, so I can talk about what I choose to talk about, but I think the first thing coming up for me is, and I may like change my mind in 2 weeks, who knows, is that this episode of me just speaking into the phone, or into the microphone, or hey, they both end in phone or the microphone or whatever it is, just like me solo episode, this might be the last time, and I know that the last episode of the podcast, because that's the episode that literally just is coming out tomorrow, so I have it all planned out, of course, because I'm autistic, so I have everything fucking planned out. It was part 2 of the Dopamine Diaries, in which I talk about the tremendous world in my head and the intersection between autism, ADHD, giftedness, how it all acts as a mask for each other, how I feel so claustrophobic in my body, how nothing can happen like fast enough. And what I mean by that is my soul, as I said in that episode, my soul is everywhere, my soul is everything, my soul is one with the universe or God or the cosmos or whatever we're going to call it, and this body, even like this voice, like it can't keep up. And I came to this realization the other day while I was sitting in the plane for 8 hours, and I realized something that I had like never realized before. Like I thought about it, but I had never fully internalized it. And it was this idea of like, what if I don't have to keep up? Like, I know that sounds like so obvious, but let me just like explain what I mean here. Like, all this time, the claustrophobia, it's born from, me trying to externally match my internal vastness. So that's why it's so frustrating for me to write, because nothing I ever write will match the exact like soul experience feeling that I have inside. And that's, I think, why I always feel like a failure. It has nothing to do with other people. That's like why I also never feel good enough. It has nothing to do with not feeling good enough for other people. But like when I say I don't feel good enough for the world, like I feel like I'm failing in the world. It is like in the most metaphysical sense, I feel like I am failing in the world, in the sense that this soul cannot come to full expression because I am limited by the constraints of the physical world. And how this ties back to solo episodes and me speaking into the phone and all that, or the microphone or whatever it is, we're just gonna go with whatever I'm saying, is that I don't even know how to explain this, but like more and more I have been feeling very existentially lonely because I know that no matter how I communicate with other people, the words are never going to match that energy. And that does make you feel very alone, because you know that your whole insides are just, they're never going to also be on the outside, if that makes sense. Thankfully, they're never going to be on the outside. But that being said, in the past also year or 2 years, the people that I have been working with through one-on-one coaching, the people that I have been meeting through the Autistically ED-Free Academy, the people that have emailed me about my books and how, what a profound impact they've made on them, the connections that I have been making have been infinitely more powerful than the connections I have ever made and or experienced in my entire life. And it's opening this channel in me that I don't want to speak. I'm maybe fucking up my words here, but bear with me. I don't want to. It's very hard for me to speak out loud, be verbal, without having another presence or another energy, on the other side of that. And with the podcast, it's feeling I know people are listening to this. I know you're listening to this right now. But it feels more and more like I am speaking into the void, speaking into the abyss, because I don't know who's listening. I don't, your energy at the time that I'm recording this, I don't know what you're feeling, what you're experiencing, and that's very, very difficult for me. And that's kind of a new thing. And I think it is a new thing because of the live connections I've been having have been so much more profound, to the point where half the time, we both know the words fail us, and I think that's what I love so much about coaching and loving coaching and my academy and all the programs more and more, and the membership. That's what it was. I was there's another thing that I can't remember the name of, the Existential Autistic membership. How more and more we feel connected as souls, beyond the boundaries of physical reality. And I know that this all sounds very woo-woo maybe, but I know, I feel that you're getting me. If you're listening to this, I feel that you're getting me. So I'm just gonna keep rolling with it. And that for me, I think for me, when I am expressing myself alone, I want to be doing so in writing, and I want to be doing so for my books. And with this podcast, I love writing the solo episodes, but I hate recording them. I'm just gonna be honest. I hate recording them because I have to script it in a way that it sounds like talking naturally. Because I've done episodes where, I just read the script, but you can know, you can hear that it's scripted. And especially in this world where everyone's using fucking AI nowadays, and thinking that we can't tell, I can't script stuff anymore, because if you want to script, go to freaking ChatGPT, right? So that being said, I love writing, even though it's a love-hate relationship, because words will always fail me. I love writing, and that's what I just want to keep doing. I want to write, not to write. I don't want to write to make it sound like I'm speaking, because I want to save my speaking energy for the live connections, for the energy, right? So this podcast, it's not going to dissipate into the abyss or anything, but I think it's just going to take a new form, and I have a lot of great ideas. Yesterday we had an Autistically ED-Free Academy call, and we shared some amazing ideas, and I even read a snippet to these amazing beings, let's say, from my upcoming book that I'm currently writing about anorexia and autism, which is a motherfucker of a book, and it's taking so much time and so much research and so much energy that I feel like a monotropic focus for that book. And anything that isn't that book or isn't live connection, so the Autistically ED-Free Academy or the Existential Autistic membership or my one-on-one clients, of course, anything that is not my writing or the live connection, which both things, and obviously connection with my family and friends outside of Live Liberal Free, anything that isn't that, which I define as my art, I don't I don't have spiritual capacity for. And that's basically why I am like not on Instagram at all anymore, because I don't know if you feel it, but I know that other people are feeling it too, that like social media and like even connecting to the external world in a way that isn't like the authentic, genuine / spiritual soul to soul connection, like I can't do it anymore. I just can't. And this isn't I don't want to. This is I can't be on social media. It's like I'm repulsed by it. Like I want to vomit if I have to think about posting things on Instagram again. And of course, I've said this in the past, like I literally quit Instagram a year ago, then I came back, but then I left again because it's just this energy in the air. And I definitely think, even like the whole AI has to do with it. Like I just get an allergic reaction every time I see something on Instagram that is written by AI. And look, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I used AI for some time too, because I was like, this can speed things up and this can shortcut things. But I think, as more and more people started using AI and the wording and stuff started becoming more, like, how do you say that, ubiquitous? Like, we all know, like, the AI language, how the AIs write. Like, it isn't even something specific you can pinpoint. I mean, sometimes it is. Like, the construct of, it isn't X, M dash, it's X, right? Like, that is a, dead fucking AI giveaway. So, anytime I see that, I'm like, yep, I am out. Although, with the M dash thing, it's so interesting because a lot of people, I know, I'm not on TikTok, but I know that, like, a TikTok trend or something that was on TikTok or people were talking about on TikTok, because I listen to a lot of author podcasts, and they were talking about it, and this, the podcasters, the hosts, were talking about how frustrated they were that this was going on TikTok, and it was this, like, myth that if people use M dashes, it's written by AI. And I was like so with them in their frustration, because I love M dashes. Like, I use M dashes in my writing all the time. And if you've read any of my books, you know that. And that was like before AI was even a thing, or like before everyone was using it, let's say. Because M dash is like, it's like a pause, right? Like, and I use M dash often to put an emphasis, which is strong. Like, it's a better emphasis than if I use like a period or even a semicolon, like, or a comma. Like, the M dash, I'm trying to think of an example, because I was writing a chapter of my book yesterday and this weekend, and like even just going through it, there were so many M dashes in there, because I'm like now trying to over explain myself, but I know you guys get what I'm saying, and now we're going off on a tangent about M dashes. But I was talking about AI and how I think, especially because more and more people are using AI, more and more people are just, let's be honest, showing up in a fake way. Like, I can't be in spheres where that's happening, and I think that's kind of where my repulsion from social media is coming from. It's just fake. Like, most of it is just so fake, and I'm always comparing myself, like, and I don't want to compare myself, but I do. And that's why I don't want to go on social media anymore, because I don't want to compare myself. And for me, the monotropic focus and like my best words come when I am writing from my heart, when I am just like in solitude writing. However, this isn't to say that I need only solitude, because more and more I have been realizing, more than I ever thought, that I do need other people, but I need a very specific type of people. I need the kind of people that are in the Autistically Eating Free Academy, that are in the Existential Autistic membership, that are my clients, that are my friends, that are my family. I need other souls to connect with, right? That's what I call the neurodivergent energy coalescence. Or, some of these people, some very, very rare special people are not necessarily neurodivergent, but we are able to enter the same dimension. And it's those other dimensional connections that I think all of us are craving now more than ever. And that's kind of going back to what I was saying at the beginning about this podcast, is like, I want to have guests on that I can share that energy coalescence with the listener. And I want to enjoy doing the podcast again. Like, I don't want it to feel like a chore. And that also will probably mean that I'm not I may not be releasing weekly episodes anymore because it is a lot. It is a lot of work to do a podcast, and not only that, but on top of writing now 2 books at the same time. I'm writing my book on anorexia and autism, which is a fuck ton of work, and I'm also writing a fiction novel about an autistic alien who wakes up trapped in a human body on Earth, gets an eating disorder, and just the trials and tribulations this being must go through to discover their gift, which I'm having so much fun with. And I want to be able to, have monotropic focus for my writing and for connecting and my art, right? And I don't want to feel like I have to pull myself out of that to make time to say something for the podcast that I don't even really want to say, right? And I don't want this to sound like I don't like this podcast, because of course I do. Like, if I didn't like doing this podcast, I would not have already had this podcast for almost 5 years at this point. And there's like over 180 episodes at this point too, like, because I do love connecting. And I think, and this is part of the embracing change and the adaptive nature and embracing the adaptation, because I talk about adaptation a lot. But just because I don't have an eating disorder anymore, that doesn't mean that I'm not still adapting as a human being. It doesn't mean that my life is easy. It doesn't mean that I don't struggle, right? I struggle every day. And that's why I talk about creating a life worth suffering for. Like, I'm so sick of the facade. I released a newsletter email about this last week. So if you're not yet on my email list, do sign up at livelabelfree.com/join. Because, to be honest, my emails have been getting better and better and better and more authentic. And I've been getting so much positive feedback on them. And so last week I sent a newsletter that I'm so sick of the facade. And one of the amazing people who listens to this podcast, shout out to you if you're listening, because I know you know who you are. I quote her in that email because she said, like, I'm so sick of the facade, of the masked persona, like, as if we are all trying to, like, act in this world constructed by others. And I quoted her in that email because that is exactly how I feel. I am so sick of everyone being so fake, and this is including, like, ED recovery coaches, let's say, and not all of them, obviously not all of them. I know a lot of wonderful eating disorder recovery coaches that are so authentic, that are so real, that I'm amazing friends with, and there are a lot of people out there too that it's just, not preaching to the choir, but just, like, preaching the whole recovery is worth it, like, my life is so much better after an eating disorder, and then they show their, like, before and after photos of them being, like, fucking emaciated, which is so stereotypical, right? And then, like, their, like, quote-unquote healthy body after, and being like, I'm free, I can have fun again, and, like, not showing the everyday struggle of fucking existing. And, I don't want to fill in for them. Like, maybe their life is perfect, like, maybe they don't have a struggle, but I can't connect with that, because my life every day is a fucking struggle. I feel so trapped in this body every day, and that's why I create my art. That's why I crave connections. That's why I battle with the words on the page, because it's, turning the mess into a message, literally. And I would not be able to write and connect in the way that I do if I didn't struggle every day, right? If life was so easy, I'd be out lying on the beach, because I wouldn't have to, deal with the thoughts. The reason I can't go and lie on the beach is because I would literally want to, crawl out of my fucking skin, because I'd feel so trapped. I would be so consumed by my thoughts. I would feel so unproductive. I would feel so useless. But, I mean, if you can do that, go lay on the beach, but I can't, and that's why I will never do a beach vacation. That's why I will always write. That's why I will always choose to connect and coach, and do this podcast and all the things, because I want to have a purpose, and it's totally okay if your purpose is just existing. However, that's not enough for me. I don't want to exist just to exist. I want to exist to feel a sense of peace and meaning and connection and contribution to other people. And of course, that's a very personal choice, but I am sharing it like this because I do feel like a lot of you people listening to this are going to resonate with that. And that's why the eating disorder, and to quote someone from the Autistically ED Free Academy, said, the eating disorder was her sense of purpose for a long time, as it is for many of us. And she said something so profound, and she said it a few times. She said, the eating disorder isn't enough of a purpose for me anymore. And that is exactly what my book, How to Get Out of Quasi-Recovery, is about, of course, is, this tipping of the scales of dissatisfaction, just being dissatisfied with the eating disorder. And I quote in my How to Get Out of Quasi-Recovery book, I quote Thomas Edison, and he said, discontent is the first necessity of progress. And I love that quote so much, because for you to, embark on a discovery journey, not recovery, because we all know we don't like recovery, because recovery is the next trap after an eating disorder, to embark on a discovery journey that leads you to, creating purpose in your life and connecting and contributing and doing all the wonderful things that does make life worth suffering for. To do all this, you have to be dissatisfied with your current state, right? Because as long as you are even just a little bit satisfied with it, you're gonna stay. You're gonna choose the safe and familiar route, because that is what the human mind and nervous system is wired to do. And I think that's why for me this is really hard to even say that I'm changing the podcast and things are going to be different, because that's unfamiliar and unpredictable, and I don't know how it's going to be received. I don't know what people are going to think. I don't even know if it's what I'm going to think in 2 weeks. Maybe in 2 weeks I'm going to be like, oh no, I want to do more Walk With Me episodes, because now that I'm doing it, I'm like, wow, this is such a good brain dump. But also I know it feels so authentic right now to just be speaking, because this is how I speak to my clients too. Our voice memos are just me being authentic and speaking live in the moment, and then also being able to help at the same time. There's nothing better than that. So yeah, don't quote me on anything I just said. Take what you want, leave what you don't. But yeah, I think right now, I'm definitely going to be focusing a lot more on writing and live connection. So in terms of the part 3 of the dopamine diaries that I promised you all about, my experience with medication, I'm definitely going to be releasing that, but I'm going to be releasing it as a blog post, or in an email, or just in the written way, because I already have it all written out. I just don't feel like recording it. Because I don't feel like reading from a script. And it's not the same as recording an audiobook, because an audiobook, I feel like I'm sharing my art in a very different way, if that makes sense. So yeah, again, if you want to stay updated on everything I am writing about and everything I am doing, and even the new podcasts that come out with live other soul beings, so to say, do be sure to get on my email list. Again, livelabelfree.com/join. And if you haven't already gotten my free audio training, 3 Steps to Recovery from an Eating Disorder as an Autistic Person, I also have a free extreme hunger guide. I have a lot of resources on my website. You can find everything at livelabelfree.com. And of course, if you have not yet read my treasure trove of books, which there are 5 of them at this point, and 2 more are currently in the making, and over 100 on my to-write list, do be sure to find all of those at livelabelfreebooks.com, because if you bundle the books, if you buy more than one, you actually get a discount for supporting me as a small author. And yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at. Just expect changes, expect lifelong changing and evolving. After all, right? We are all lifelong learners. Thank you for listening to all of this. It actually has felt really good to let this just spill out of me, because these have been all the thoughts that have been bottled up in me, that have been bursting at the seams, as I like to say. And yeah, I guess we will both see what happens, because yeah, there are a lot of changes coming in my life. Not just this, but also I am moving back to the Netherlands, which I'm not going to get into here, because that's a whole nother long story that I could speak for another half an hour, and honestly, I don't feel like talking anymore. So, with all that being said, thank you for listening, and I will talk to you in the next episode. Bye-bye for now. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast, my friend. If you enjoyed this episode, it would mean so much to me if you could leave a positive rating and review for the Live Label Free podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. It's a free way to show your support so I can continue bringing you the valuable content that I love to create for you.